X-Men are coming. And the X-Men are going to be here in the MCU before we know it. Jake Schreier, the director of Thunderbolts, is getting his team together. And it seems like he has found some writers to take on the story of the X-Men in the MCU. And this comes to us from Deadline. They say Jake Schreier, our boy who is working on the X-Men reboot, has revealed that Beef creator Lee Sung-jin and the Bear showrunner Joanna Callow are working on a script for Marvel X-Men movie. In a new interview, the Thunderbolts director said, the X-Men movie will still be in development as we are getting the script together, he tells Collider. Lee Sung-jin and Joanna Callow, quote unquote, have come in and are working on a draft right now, which is really exciting to be able to put that group of people together. Schreier has worked with Lee Sung-jin and Joanna Callow on Beef. They both wrote for Thunderbolts. The X-Men reboot would reunite the trio in another Marvel film, which is expected to be released sometime after Avengers Secret Wars. I want to ask you, these are some big time Emmy writers that have worked on extremely high profile projects and also have worked on Thunderbolts and know Jake Schreier and his vision and his voice very well. What do you think about bringing these super talented, mostly TV writers besides Thunderbolts, to X-Men? And what do you think that they could bring to an X-Men story?
It makes me very excited, and here's why. In general, what Beef and the Bear are both about is about very human people trying to figure out their day-to-day, their motivations, what makes them happy, right? And also, it has a lot of interpersonal conflict, especially the Bear, between quite a few characters, a lot of different characters having different motivations, each and every one of them, all having to kind of fit together in a team to achieve a goal. Who does that sound like? And with Beef, having that conflict between two different people who have two different perspectives on a singular event, and having that event impact their lives in very different ways, even though they're trying to come together at some point to resolve that issue. Who does that sound like? So I think that these are perfect, very inspired choices for the X-Men, because this is very much the bones of the X-Men, bringing together very different characters from very different backgrounds who often conflict with each other while also trying to achieve a goal together so that everyone can be, I don't know, at peace, happy, whatever. This all sounds like the X-Men to me. So I think that having those choices gives me a lot of hope for this project in general.
I totally agree. I mean, these are extremely talented writers that know how to write complex characters.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly what the X-Men are. You have the writer and directors of Beef, of the Bear. It's funny because the Bear has the Beef as the restaurant, but you have the writers of the Bear, you have writers of the Beef. They both worked on Thunderbolts with Jake Schreier. There's a familiarity there, and that makes for extremely good storytelling about complex characters like the X-Men. The X-Men is a group of super complex characters where each individual can have their own solo movie. They just all happen to be part of the same team. And both of these writers from Beef and the Bear, time and time again, have showed us that they know character. They know character development. They know how complex human beings are. Imagine being a mutant and having superpowers and being a teenager and already feeling like you don't fit in the world, these writers were primed to write X-Men. We already saw the rumblings of it with Thunderbolts, which was really good in my opinion. And so it seems like they've been prepped and primed to get to a point where now like they're ready to tell X-Men, and these are the people to do it. So I was ecstatic when I heard this.
Yeah, I think that this is, like I said, I think this is a very inspired choice. Also, just piggybacking off of a conversation we had about the X-Men earlier, this is another everything that you mentioned about them being teenagers and mutants and outcasts in that way. That is quite that is another reason why you should make Iceman black, because he's a teenager, he's gay, he's a mutant, and he's black. There's only so much someone can handle from an person standpoint, because he will be getting it from all sides. So yeah, just let him deal with the teenage angst and the hate from the people, from the Homo sapiens and the the bigots, because making him black, that's just another. That's just another
100%.
Yeah.
No,
So yeah. No, I mean, I'm not.
That'd be way too much. But
couldn't imagine.
You know, I think the signs that we're getting from the Beef and the Bear writer hire for the X-Men script is that Kevin Feige understands the X-Men. He understands that there are so many layers to these characters, and that these stories need to be character driven over spectacle driven. There have been moments in the older 2000 X-Men's where they may have touched on things or relationships a little bit, but it really wasn't the representation of what we know about the X-Men. And that is, this is a very like soapy drama induced and trauma induced stories about individuals that is extremely complex and has so many layers. And the fact that they hired these two writers to write the X-Men script just shows that they really understand how they need to go about representing the X-Men this time on the big screen. And so it just gives me a lot of faith that like they are finally in the right mindset of how these X-Men need to be represented. And that gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, and I think that Kevin Feige has mentioned in the past that the X-Men are the characters in Marvel that he loves the most. So I think that he'll give the most care to the X-Men and how they're approached. Yes. And saying that he'll give the most care to the X-Men and seeing how much care that he's given to the other characters, which is very much, I am even more encouraged to see like what they come up with for sure. And one of the things I want to ask you is, where would you want them to go with an X-Men movie? And the reason I ask that is because we've seen the X-Men, and most of the time, dealing with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and being caught in between them and the Homo sapiens, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much more to the X-Men. I mean, that's a core thing. However, there's Mojo World, and there's Lilandra out there in space. There's the Phoenix, which honestly I could deal without the Phoenix because we've done it to death. But there's so much Savage Land. Like there's so Krakoa, Genosha. Like there's so much you can do with the X-Men.
You know your X-Men.
Seem to have stayed in this one pocket, right? So where would you want to go with the X-Men?
Well, for one, I think we need a more personal story to fall in love with these new characters. Travis in the comments alluded to this, but people have such an idea of who Wolverine is, who Storm is, who Cyclops is, who didn't get a lot of love based on the 2000s X-Men. And so like their minds are already programmed to see and understand X-Men in a very certain way. So I think the first job is really establishing this world and these specific characters that we're going to see inhabit the X-Men. I think that is really important. So the story to begin with needs to be really personal. And I think in order to do that, you need a very sinister villain. And so I really think we are overdue for a great representation of Mr. Sinister. Someone that doesn't see these mutants as people. He sees them as experiments. He sees them as a stepping stone to cracking the key to evolution, and that they're just a science experiment that he can operate on for his own initiative. And I think that is a very interesting story to tell, that you have people out there who are in charge of corporations, who have a lot of money, who have opinions on how you should live and if you should even exist. And that is very scary, but that is very relatable to the world that we live in today. And I think that would be a great way in to beginning the X-Men in the MCU.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. I think Mr. Sinister is the perfect villain to start off with, especially if you don't want to start off with just going back to Magneto, you know. So, in which Magneto's an amazing character, but just for something different, you would want to go with a Mr. Sinister who I didn't know until much later in life. He's not even a mutant. He's not even a mutant. He may look the part, but he's just, all he did was literally kill and maim other mutants to try to develop immortality and other things. It's like, you know, when you see someone that evil, there's very few people as evil as Mr. Sinister, you know. So I think that is a perfect direction to go in, because it gives you especially with like X-Men 97 and his representation in that show, you really see, no pun intended, full pun intended, the Sinister, the Sinister, right? So I think that is a perfect direction to go in, especially if you're trying to pull them all together to do, like, to pull this team together against one common enemy that just so happens to not just be another mutant that they're fighting against, you know? So yeah, I think that's an incredibly perfect direction. Who would you want to play him?
Probably John Hamm, I think, would be really good.
Hamm's interesting.
Yeah, he's really good. I know the rumors were Javier Bardem, who is absolutely fantastic. I could see him doing a good run, but you know, John Hamm he is a huge X-Men nerd and Mr. Sinister nerd. He has vied for that role for a long time, and I think in a lot of ways he was born to play it. I could see the look, and he plays villains so well. There was a few years ago where he was the villain of the morning show. In the same year, he was also the villain of Fargo season 5, and they were completely different characters, both very like villainous in their own ways, and he just played it so well, and he's such a great actor. So I still believe he is primed to play a superhero villain, and I think this is the perfect one for him to play. So I really hope it's John Hamm as Mr. Sinister, Nathaniel Essex, if you will.
I think those are two really good. I think that's a really good choice.
Do you have any idea?
It's been difficult for me to kind of, like, I've thought of one person, but I was like, he's not not big enough. I thought about Barry Keoghan, or I forget how you say his name.
Yeah, you got it. Barry Keoghan.
Yeah. But he's literally not big enough to play.
Oh, but you know what?
Who could be great? Robert Pattinson.
Oh, that'd be really
He would
good.
be amazing.
You know who I was thinking of, because you said Barry Keoghan, and I just watched Peaky Blinders and Mortal Man. Cillian Murphy. I could see him absolutely crushing it. I just don't know if he wants to play someone so sinister.
Yeah. If we had a clean slate, a person that we could just ignore everything that they've done before, the perfect person would be Willem Dafoe, but he's Green Goblin.
Ooh.
So yeah,
Yeah, or I mean, if we had a clean slate, a really clean slate, I could see Robert Downey Jr. playing Mr. Sinister. Actually,
oh my God, yes,
yeah,
Robert Downey Jr.
If it was
Michael
a clean
Shannon.
slate, who?
Michael Shannon is another person.
Oh
that I
man,
can absolutely see play Mr. Sinister.
That voice, yes,
He's got the coldness to him. Man,
but,
he could do it.
Go, yeah. I mean, maybe they will go the Brainiac route, like with Superman, and cast someone that we don't really know his name, and I'd be okay with that too.
I'd be good. I like casting unknowns. That's the best route.
I know. Yeah, I would be down. Travis Mitchell, I know you're saying a lot of great stuff in the comments. We are like at the tail end of the episode. We've been here for almost 2.5 hours, so we are going to knock off soon. But I do want to say I appreciate you commenting. Let's read your last comment. You said, lean into that fear of the public. If a superpower being isn't a part of the Avengers, they are dangerous, then Xavier's the voice that says the public makes them villains, then, let them learn not to be. I think that's really powerful. And so I do agree with you. I think there's a lot of stuff there that we need to play with about where we are at in the MCU with how people see heroes, with how people see vigilantes, as we're seeing in Daredevil Born Again. And now another layer is with how we're seeing mutants, people with superpowers of all shapes and sizes and different ages coming out with the mutant gene at different times. But I still think there needs to be a way that they show how mutants got here or how it happened and make it make sense, because it can't just start like randomly. And if you're having Jean Grey come into Spider-Man to show that mutants are here or they're coming in, it needs to make sense. I don't feel comfortable just glossing over like, and now they're here and we just got to accept it. It's like, how did it happen? Did it happen from the snap? Did it happen from our, the incursion in our world colliding with someone else's? Like, it needs to make sense. So I don't think they're out of that hurdle yet. It seems like they're trying to just make us like ignore the fact that they're not out of the hurdle and be like, Jean Grey's in Spider-Man and just like brush over the fact that how are mutants even here to begin with? How have we never heard of them? So I think that's a big hurdle that the MCU really needs to address, is how did mutants get here? How did it start? What is going on with that? And those questions need to be answered before we even get into the X-Men.
Yeah. This leans into my, I don't want to call it a radical idea, but a radical idea of after Secret Wars, recast
everyone.
Everybody.
Yes,
everybody.
100%.
And the reason why is because I like Sam Wilson Cap. I like
them all. I like them all.
I like Yelena Belova. Like, I like all of these people. Do you want to see Cyclops in conflict with Sam Wilson, or do you want to see Cyclops in conflict with Steve Rogers? Like, let's be for real.
Exactly.
About
and also
where we're like what we're doing.
Yes. And do you want Cyclops to be 23 and he's fighting someone that's like 50? Like, it doesn't. They're gonna age out of the roles and the universe. Like, I think right, we need to dial it back, and there's other great actors that could take this universe the next 15 years.
The MCU has done such a great job of creating some of the bigger stories, like a Secret Wars, without even using the X-Men, not Secret Wars, Civil War, without even using the X-Men or the Fantastic Four. They did a great job of what they have. But what would be even greater is that now that they have everyone minus basically Spider-Man, but they can apparently have a good relationship with Sony. Now that Kevin Feige has all of his toys, it can be a much better, more
cohesive type of story.
Inclusive 100%. In the sense of inclusive, but inclusive in the sense of the types of characters that you bring together in these stories. I want to see Mr. Fantastic and Tony Stark debate over something while Steve Rogers is trying to bring in his moral compass, and the Illuminati is like, let's erase him and get his ass out of here because he's in our way. Like, I want to see all
Wolverine. I want to see Wolverine in World War II meet Captain America and like fight
Yep.
alongside him and have some kind of
Yeah.
history there with him. And I want to see all of that. It's just, it's going to be hard because people fell in love with these stories and they're so locked in on what has happened
Mhm.
before and who played them. But I
Yeah.
think it is necessary for the longevity of the MCU to
Yep.
push it forward and let go and have a new Doctor Doom after Robert Downey. I think there's other stories and actors and characters that deserve to be a part of the MCU and the tapestry of what the Marvel
Yep.
universe can be. And so I agree with you that after Secret Wars, I think we recast everyone and we start
Everybody.
fresh and maybe Spider-Man is the crossover. There's some because of the incursion or whatever happened, but I do think
Yeah.
there is an opportunity to do that. So
I think similar to Secret Wars, the only person that you keep is Miles Morales. The only person that you keep is Tom Holland and Iman Vellani. Like I feel like those are the only two people that you
because
keep.
we didn't get
And then
enough
you
of them. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of which, the recasting, T'Challa. We need T'Challa back. So this is the perfect way to get it done.
And you can, and now it makes sense. Like he's younger, he's dating
Mhm.
Storm. Storm is
Yep.
younger. They're in their younger 20s. His dad is
Mhm.
still around. Like we reboot it. We reboot it and we start over. And I'm okay with that as long as it makes sense and you do it right.
Yep.
I really think that's an opportunity that could really make this bad boy last for the next 15, 20 years. So,
Yeah. Yep.
but we got off track a lot. What do you guys
Yep.
think about the MCU hiring the beef creator and the bear showrunner to write the script for the MCU's first representation of the X-Men? Drop a comment below and let us know your guys' thoughts.